Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. Yesterday's vlog was a little bit longer than the ones I usually do. They usually clock in around 10 minutes, I would say, sometimes shorter, maybe up to 15, 16 minutes, something like that. But yesterday's video went over 20 minutes. I hope it was interesting because I thought the length was justified, but I appreciate everybody who watched the entire video. I hope it was valuable to you. But I want to show my appreciation for yesterday's video, watching it, by making today's video shorter. Can't promise, but I'm going to try. So what do I want to talk about today? In yesterday's video, at one point, I did a short comparison of Britain's parliamentary system to our constitutional system, or our federal system, however you want to put it, checks and balances. I basically compared the two systems, showed how they were different, and how, you won't be surprised, I think ours is better. But today I want to talk about something that our two countries have in common. This is something I've also mentioned in the past a couple of times, so today I'm going to expand on it a little bit. It's something called, and I owe this to, well, I had heard the term before, but Nigel Farage in Britain, he is the head of the Brexit Party. He has brought this up a couple of times. He has a radio show that he does Monday through Thursday and then on Sundays. You can find it on YouTube. Just look up Nigel Farage, F-A-A-R-A-G-E. And I'm pronouncing his name wrong. It's not Farage, it's Farage. So sorry, Nigel, if you're watching this, and I hope you are. I'll do better in the future. Anyhow, he brings up this concept of something called losers' consent and how important losers' consent is to the functioning of a democracy. So I want to illustrate this concept. I want to show how we have a problem with this lack of losers' consent in Britain and here in the United States. The first video is of David Cameron. David Cameron was the Prime Minister of England. More important, he was the Prime Minister of England in 2015, who proposed the referendum, the national referendum that Britain had, the United Kingdom, on whether to stay in or leave the European Union. He had come back from Brussels, the capital of the European Union, with a deal that he had negotiated to keep Britain from leaving the European Union. And then, having come back, he wanted to put that deal to a referendum, to a vote of the British people. The vote was to either accept that deal and stay in the European Union or to leave. But, well, watch the video and then I will come back.
3 years ago, I committed to the British people that I would renegotiate our position in the European Union and hold an in-out referendum. Now I am delivering on that commitment. You will decide, and whatever your decision, I will do my best to deliver it. And I will go to Parliament and propose that the British people decide our future in Europe through an in-out referendum on Thursday, the 23rd of June. The choice is in your hands.
All right, so you saw that video. I'm going to discuss that video in a minute, but first I have to show you another video. This is a video from right here in the United States, an excerpt from one of the debates between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election. So watch this short clip and then come back, and I will then explain what my point is.
One of you will not win this election. So my final question to you tonight, are you willing to accept the outcome as the will of the voters? Secretary Clinton?
Well, I support our democracy. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But I certainly will support the outcome of this election. And I know Donald's trying very hard to plant doubts about it, but I hope the people out there understand this election's really up to you.
Mr. Trump, very quickly, the same question. Will you accept the outcome as the will of the voters?
The answer is, if she wins, I will absolutely support her.
Okay, so you saw the two videos. Now, this is the point about losers' consent. What is losers' consent? It's really pretty much what it sounds like. It's when you have an election, if you have a vote, or in Britain's case, a referendum, you respect the results of that vote, win or lose. So if you're on the loser side, you take your lumps. You accept that you lost, you move on, you try to do better next time. What you don't try to do is deny the result, or even worse, reverse the result, or even worse than that, ignore that that result even happened. So going back to the Cameron video, first, you heard him very, very clearly say that the EU referendum was a straight yes or no, up or down vote. Stay in or leave. Now, fast forward to today, if you're following England at all, and you have members of parliament who, besides what Cameron said in their, well, we call them platforms, they call them manifestos. In their manifestos, they promised that if they were elected, they would respect the results of the referendum. Now they are in power, and ever since they have been in power, they have been doing everything to thwart Brexit. They have been talking about, well, we need a deal, or the British people, they didn't vote to leave without a deal. As somebody said, somebody else, I can't remember, otherwise I would give credit, said the British people did not vote for a soft-boiled exit or a hard-boiled exit or a medium-boiled exit. They voted to leave the European Union. And if you listen again to what Cameron said,
3 years ago, I committed to the British people that I would renegotiate our position in the European Union and hold an in-out referendum. An in-out referendum. An in-out referendum. An in-out referendum.
there's no doubt Cameron put it very clearly. But now you have these members of Parliament acting as if it never happened. Parliament passed a law which may be unconstitutional under their constitution, their unwritten constitution. It's being challenged, I believe. But if upheld, that, well, it doesn't matter right now whether it's upheld or not. It's the, as we say when we give presents, it's the thought that counts. This law requires Boris Johnson, today's Prime Minister, to ask for an extension of Brexit, and in that time to try to negotiate a deal. So what you have is this, as I guess you would have to call it, a revocation of losers' consent. They lost, they expected to win. It's obvious today. That's why they said they would accept the result, because they expected to win. When they found out that they lost, well, now they want to ignore the results. Which brings us to the United States and that clip you just saw of Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, where it's Lester Holt, I believe, is the moderator, asks first Hillary Clinton, will you respect the results of the 2016 election that was about to be held? And she said that she would.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but I certainly will support the outcome of this election.
She was unequivocal, and she makes this big spiel about democracy or whatever, and she is very clear that she will accept the result. On the other hand, Hillary's supporters were challenging Donald Trump on whether he would accept the results. Now, you just saw in that video, he said unequivocally that he would.
If she wins, I will absolutely support her.
Win or lose, he would accept the results. So you have both candidates on record. And today you have, well, the Mueller report, the collusion hoax, the obstruction of justice, which is not an obstruction of justice, for one reason being that there is no motive, or there was no motive, because there was no Russian collusion to circumvent. But what you have now is, well, we've been watching these hearings in the House. They are trying to force Donald Trump out of office without waiting for an election, because they, like the Remainers, they call them in England, refuse to accept the results. And in fact, that's what Corey Lewandowski, in his testimony yesterday, the day before this video is being recorded, that's what he said straight out. He said it multiple times. This is not an investigation. It is just a refusal to accept the results of an election. And it goes even farther than that. You have now an attempt to smear, and it failed spectacularly, but it was an attempt to smear Brett Kavanaugh, the latest Trump appointee to the Supreme Court. They don't want to accept that either. They don't want to accept that Donald Trump is the president. He gets to appoint a Supreme Court justice. That Supreme Court justice was confirmed. He's on the court. Any decision he makes, including a decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, that decision is valid. It is the law of the land. What they are trying to do is either get him impeached or at least intimidated. So, thanks a lot, John Roberts, because it worked on him. You may remember or have read that in the first Obamacare Supreme Court case, initially, Justice Roberts was going to vote to overturn the Affordable Care Act, but he later changed his mind because of statements by, all the way up to Barack Obama, saying that it would delegitimize the Supreme Court were they to overturn the Affordable Care Act. So now they want to try that same gambit with potential overturning of or reversal of Roe v. Wade. I'm going to sum up now. I hope I kept my promise to keep this video short, but that's basically it. I'm agreeing with Nigel Farage that if you don't have losers' consent, then you don't have a democracy. If people are going to say that the ends justify the means when they don't get their way in a democratic vote or a democratic process or Republican process, small r, because we're a republic, a representative republic. If you don't accept the results and you think that anything goes to try to reverse those results, if you have to smear an honorable man, hold bogus hearings, make bogus accusations, if you think that that is justified, and if you have people in the government such as James Comey and James Clapper and all of those people in the government, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, who have power, who have authority in the government, and they feel that way, then again, we don't have a democracy anymore. And that's it. That's my video for today. I hope again that I kept it short, and I look forward to seeing, thumbs up if you like the video. Share it with anybody you think would benefit from the video. You got any comments? Put them in the comments section. Subscribe, that would be great. And finally, come back and see me again. I look forward to seeing all of you again. And until I do, bye.